Thank you so much. Welcome everyone, and thank you for continuing to sit in the audience for us. I think we've got a very exciting, interesting conversation in front of us. I'm Vivek Das. I'm the managing partner at EssenceMediacom. I currently lead the Google business. I'll have each of the speakers introduce themselves. But today's topic, I think, is very relevant because that's something we deal with in our jobs every day, all of us. We've got a good mix here. We've got a media agency, we've got creative agencies, we've got a client. Everybody's perspective will be here. So the landscape, as we know, is already exploding with innovation from social media to e-commerce. The canvas is endless. The possibilities are infinite for creativity to excel. Yet we struggle because we want to create more and more products that connect with consumers deeply and capture their hearts and minds, which it is a bit of a fleeting target, if I may say so, right? And creativity is subjective and generally demands a bit of a risk appetite as well, especially in today's time of clutter. So in this content overload, ad clutter and everything, generating and executing a truly differentiated and unique idea is challenging. And finally, there's the task of delivering sustained business growth. With all of these pressures, how do we ensure that we keep pushing the envelope on creativity? So with that in mind, let's delve into this world of creativity to understand what drives growth and captivate audiences. We'll explore the magic that happens when creativity and data intertwine. And we'll learn, hopefully by the end of this session, how we can create and nourish a culture of creativity and perhaps craft campaigns that resonate and accelerate. So over the next 40 minutes, we'll delve into the secrets of brands that have been used to create vitality, to skyrocket growth, and captivate audiences. Let's start with this burning conversation that we were having over the last 20 minutes. How do we move beyond the pursuit of fleeting trends and create marketing campaigns that build lasting brand equity? Right? Maybe Aalap, we can start with you.
Hello. So I think that I think we are not assessing and using the tools right, honestly. Brand building needs long-term tools. We are looking at, say, a reel and assuming that isse brand ban jayega or things like that. I don't think that that is the right approach to it. It is a reminder medium rather than a long-term brand building medium. I feel that the only way to do it is look at things in terms of 4 quarters for brand building and look at bursts in like every month or whatever. Social is important for us. But I feel that the way that you talk to people has to be consistent, but the medium needs to be changing all the time. Now, what is happening is also that some brand is talking in an X way on a reel because an influencer's putting their thing into it. The print ad from the same brand is talking in a different way. I think it's a lot on the agency and it's a lot on the client to actually make it consistent and not take that 5 million wala influencer because they don't match with the brand. Just because Poonam Pandey is working or whatever, anyone, Ganji Chudel is working, doesn't mean for the views you just take up Ganji Chudel. Does it even make for you? It's short-term goals and it doesn't help in the brand in the long run.
I think, just to add to what you were saying, we often try to, call something not so meaningful if if it takes lesser time, like frequent content versus brand equity. We also need to understand what does it mean, right? Brand equity is something that people will remember about your brand after your ads have gone, days have passed, and people still remember your ad. We are not living in the times where you have just TV, print, and one ad is enough for you. And now you have, overconsumption of content, over distribution of content. So I think we'll need to take 2 steps back and see 2 things. One is idea and idea platform. Just to give you context, idea platform of a brand is, let's replace Indian sweets with mithai. Oh, let's replace Indian mithais with, Cadbury Dairy Milk, chocolates. An idea becomes kuch meeta ho jaye. Now, everything that you do needs to feed off each other. Any idea, any TikTok video if I'm doing, or any short format video, long format ad that I'm making, it needs to feed to the brand idea. This relationship has to be constant, sacred. If we try to fiddle with this relationship, I think we'll end up producing stupid content that no one remembers. You will just scroll that content. I think that is where the problem is. If the brand and the agency are sacred about this relationship between idea and idea platform, any medium, anything can come and add value back to the brand.
I think it would be great to hear Shailja's perspectives because the iconic brands she represents have really mastered that art of sticking to that idea platform, that communication platform, while using different vehicles and tools over years and building that memorable association. Shailja.
Yeah, so I think in today's age, when there is so much content and there are so many things happening every day, right? I believe today, for example, it's very difficult for a brand to curate culture. Earlier, we used to say we are a culture curator. Today, you can't curate culture, right? Culture is changing very fast and there are too many things or influences that are shaping it. But you have to be culturally very relevant. You have to be culturally there, right? But I think where brands go wrong is that if you do not know what is your purpose. And in today's age, it is more important for a brand to know exactly what is your purpose, why do you exist, and how will you talk, how will you show. If you know that, then sometimes you'll create probably a great piece of creative. Sometimes, you will do experimentation, might not get that much traction, but it will not be something that will dilute your brand's equity, right? And I think that kind of hygiene or sticking to the branding or marketing strategic principles in today's age is extremely important, while you also understand culturally what is happening, what are consumers doing, how are they consuming content, and you are doing that in the most relevant, more fresh, most culturally relevant way.
So if we take these two ingredients, which is a very clear, very solid brand foundation, we have a communication platform, an idea platform, we have consistency. I think we still struggle with the different things that are being thrown at us every day, from new technology trends that are emerging to new social media, and we still see enough brands, agencies falling into the trap of taking those two solid ingredients, but still doing things that don't resonate deeply with the audience, right? So how do we cut through that noise yet deliver meaningful creativity that resonates deeply with the audience, with everything that's coming at us?
I think, see, if someone's having a flat tire, no, and you tell him that that here's a car that'll never get a flat. Now that is relevance. When they are suffering and when they are in a problem, they are facing a challenge, you tell them that, hey, a replacement of this exists. I think relevance is what matters. We have replaced relevance with sensationalism. And sensationalism is what the problem is, because it's not predictable, it's not controllable, it's not anything. Relevance can be predicted, can be controlled, can be engineered, can be made made into a DNA of a brand. I think if you really want to cut through the clutter, I think we need to be relevant instead of being sensational. That doesn't help. At least we believe that it doesn't help.
I think this goes back to the point that Shailja was making earlier. So while you have to be relevant, you have to also stay true to culture, and culture is so fluid, right? How do you find that intersection?
See, one thing we shouldn't discount that, and I see in many meetings that brands and agencies also, they try to dumb their audience a lot, dumb down their audience, right? But it's about time we respected Indian audience especially. Look at the kind of content that we are seeing, right? We are seeing one joke after the other by the best comedians, right? There are new comedians coming. When it comes to other emotions also, we are seeing OTT content. So the audience threshold of emotions has gone crazy high. right? So as an ad, when you make an ad or any content piece, it needs to top that threshold to break the clutter in the first place. If I'm making a funny ad, it better be more funny than the last joke of your favorite comedian, be Kenny Sebastian or Gaurav Gupta, right? So it needs to top that for the audience to remember that ad. Even if it's emotional, then it needs to be it needs to be way more emotional than Rajkumar Hirani movie, right? So I think the cutting the clutter also comes from the kind of ad that we're doing. Is it really breaking all the content threshold or the kind of emotional threshold that people have? And that is where you're in a safe spot. Then comes the media, the format, and the things that, that will make a great ad.
Shailja, how do you look at that from the lens of, I mean, you've got a big season coming up, right? There are certain proven methods of delivering the numbers that you want to do, right? And yet we have to ensure that we've got relevance, we've got culture, we're topping up the entertainment threshold of the audience, and you don't have enough time to test anything, right? You just have to jump onto the bandwagon. How do you go about making a decision on that?
I think increasingly there is some content, okay, which, for example, I would just say there's something that will deliver a short-term sales lift for you. Okay, and then there'll be some things that you'll do for the long-term branding, equity, business over years that will happen to you, okay? Some of this you will create in advance, you will check, you will do a lot of consumer check around it. And again, I'm coming back to the point so that you are very clear that what you intend to deliver is what the consumer is also perceiving out of it, right? So mostly you do testing to figure, are the consumers getting the messaging right? Is it credible? Will it get ITP, etc., right? So all those things are important when you do that. However, I think the trick and where brands do really great stuff is when they have their ears open. So if you are doing your cultural checks, social listening, if there's somebody who's plugging into culture, are you talking enough to consumers? Do you have enough of partners? You can't do it alone. And I think in today's age, hence it's very important that you have partners who are there, right? If you want to do, for example, music, right? You are not an expert in what's happening in music, but there are people who are tracking it every day, right? So if you've plugged into the right sources, and then second is that when something like that comes, if there is a disruptive idea, right? Something which is very today, moment, right, happening, then you have to take the risk and go ahead, okay? Again, coming back to if you know why you're doing it and not for the cause of sensation, you will not go wrong. Maybe it doesn't become viral, maybe it doesn't cause the kind of disruption you wanted every time, but you might not go wrong with it. And in this learning, your chances of doing better stuff every time will increase. So I think experimenting and using failures as an opportunity to learn in today's era is very important, because some of these things you can only learn by doing more and more of it.
Absolutely. I think if you're coming from that position of having a strong brand foundation, you're very clear on why you want to do it. You've got your ears to the ground, you know what your consumer wants, what they like, what they don't like. And you've got the right ecosystem of partners, whether it's agencies, platform owners, media owners, any of those, right? If you filtered through all of that and you've got the right ingredients in place, the chances are very low that you will go wrong, right? But I think my question on taking from that to Yash is that while PepsiCo is very organized and methodical in its approach, and that has been perfected as a marketing-first organization over decades, right? We also work with a lot of companies and brands which are very new, which are maybe a decade old, not even a decade old, right? Startups. And they're dealing with huge economic pressures. They all have to deliver numbers. So if they seem hesitant to embrace a bold, unconventional idea, which sits well with the brand, right? Which should do the job. You believe it. How do you effectively champion that creativity and persuade them to take the leap? Because they may not have the wherewithal of consumer research and the partner ecosystem and everything, right? And I think as independent agencies, and I've been part of them myself, we do deal with that challenge.
I think agencies like to take the credit of every bold idea, but I think every bold idea has two bold parents. And one comes from the agency, one comes from the brand side. I think in the room, if people are aware of most of the bold campaigns, Burger King ranks on the top, right? How they, challenge McD in every campaign, or at least when Fernando Machado was the CMO. So it takes a Fernando Machado and the creative partner to together create that bold idea. No matter, you might be having the boldest of ideas, but if the guy doesn't like to play random swings, or like to be in the safety net of being by the book, I think it's very difficult to shove that bold idea. Once you have a partner who wants to take the risk, because it's not a vendor-client relationship. It's a very, very deep relationship that will give business plus equity in the market. So I think the boldness needs, in my experience, I have found really bold marketers and not so bold marketers. We have some ideas for them, and we have some ideas for the bold ones as well. But having said that, if you show them the earned media ROI of bold ideas, because they are disproportionately higher than the money that you can put in, I think that is where they like to hear you, because the ROI conversation gets into it. You tell them that this idea will not require as much media as you would put in a very traditional campaign. This will surpass everything. That is where they would like to take a punt, and their behavior changes then.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the sharpest tools, I would say, right? I think when we look at the agency ecosystem, it's important that we nurture that mindset within the agency, right? Because as leaders, as founders, we may have that risk appetite, we may have that confidence because of the work we've done over the years and relationships we've built to go and have that conversation with the client. But sometimes you need your account director to have that conversation. Sometimes you need your art director to have that conversation. So my question to you, Aalap, is how can agencies cultivate a culture that empowers creatives to challenge conventions and consistently push boundaries? What are the practical steps you believe that maybe you guys are already doing it in together, right? To create an environment where disruptors create more disruptors.
See, I think the biggest problem of an agency, internal system, a lot of people would be from agencies, is the ego, okay? The more acronyms that get added to my designation, the bigger my ego gets. The more zeros that get added to my salary, the bigger my perspective to how many. So I actually know people who will not talk to say itni salary se niche walo se matlab. I said I know people like that. Now I think this ego is strangling the entire culture. I think as future agency people, we should try to create and I think a safe space is a good way to put it, where a junior shouldn't be afraid of talking out or afraid of having a conversation with the CCO. Like when I was a junior, I was afraid of going and talking to my NCD and telling him, "Arey, meko aisa kuch thought aaya." Now that needs to shift. Like if people can just walk across the hall and go to anyone's room and just talk to them, it is more than enough. Now, the problem with this is, and I've tried that, the problem with this is that now everyone will keep doing it. Okay. So the problem with that is that dhire over time, no, you have to, the culture is not made in a day. You can have your doors open, everyone will start walking in. In the next 1 year of doing this, people will start understanding what to walk in with, okay, or what not to walk in with. Like I'm from Kanpur, so we used to have this thing that just because कोई बड़ा तुमसे प्यार से बात कर रहा है, उसका मतलब ये नहीं होता है that you keep your hand on the shoulders. Okay, there is a decorum to the ecosystem. It will not get formed the first day. You can have an open door policy, you can have drinks with people, you can say that मैं रोज बात करूँगा और मैं idea सबसे सुनूँगा. After a point, half the leaders that try this give up because there is more random stuff that is coming in, and I don't blame the other side also because they also don't know what to bring to the table, right? Someone will get half thoughts, someone will get full thoughts. I think we should just keep we should concentrate on the big thoughts and the good that came out of it. As a leader, you'll be able to open the doors more if you just concentrate on the good stuff. The second this ego and this ecosystem falls in, that is when the culture is created. It can't be created. आज से एक button दब गया and tomorrow there will be culture. It doesn't work like that. Anyone who has the will to come through the door with a random idea will not happen tomorrow. You will have to go to them 5 times. So there's a lot of work that you need to put in. Like if you just saying कि अरे कल से open door culture and we'll create leaders, नहीं होने वाला है. You sit with them, do the work, don't leave them in the trenches. Pitch का route change हुआ है, तो बैठ के approve कर दो रात को. You are in it with them, they are in it with you, they will respect you for the work you're putting in rather than the designation that you bring to the table. I feel once you get that out, everything's sorted.
Yash, there's something you want to add?
I was just thinking and I realized that like how we're talking about brands need to have a platform, idea platform. Agencies also need to have an idea platform so that people in the agency also know about it, what kind of direction and idea need to pitch and what kind of modus operandi is there in the agency. If you don't have an idea platform in an agency, or what will I stand for as an agency, then you will never be able to create the culture because you're not working towards a common goal. Today, Pepsi has this foundation so strong that anyone joining Pepsi knows what I'm working towards. So I think that foundation needs to be there. Stronger it becomes over time, but it needs to be there. And I think most of the agencies lack that. Hence, the culture is also not there.
Because mentorship is also, this is a very important point. I think because people don't know, because they have not been mentored to know. Okay, the agencies have stopped training the next in line. हम लोग है ना ये because अरे delivery है, अरे ये deadline है, अरे वो billing करना है. इस चक्कर में ना, like my seniors have created more juniors and trained them. Like I'm one of them. Obviously, I've been mentored by a lot of people. I don't think I've created that many as my seniors. अब उनको पता ही नहीं होगा तो करेंगे कैसे यार?
I think that what Yash you said, you sort of preempted what I was going to ask Shailja because especially in FMCG, we still see the highest share of creative marketers, I would say, if I can use that term. Not so much in every other category. Right? How does PepsiCo maintain that culture of creativity and experimentation? What is it that happens inside PepsiCo that drives all of you to keep pushing the boundaries?
I think we're also learning. It's not like we've got it completely right, is what I would say. But inside PepsiCo, I think as a very clear value of the organization, we are very rooted on voicing opinions fearlessly but respectfully, right? And I think as an organization, we live up to that even when it comes to how we deal with our agency partners or anybody else, right? And hence, what happens in that is that, one, you are allowing everybody and anybody to bring an idea if they have a great idea on board. And it's okay. Sometimes somebody might just come up and you might say, "Kya bakwas hai yaar? This is not working," or ROI nahi hai, investments. You know, sometimes there is an idea which looks very good on paper or on screen, but execute nahi ho sakta. And people, a lot of times you fall in the trap of having ideas like those, right? As PepsiCo, one, I think there is constantly that hunger that we have to do something great, right? Also, second, I think there is that openness of partnering with the right people, right? So we work with different people. We are very open to who can get us the best idea. Also, we experiment and we've learned, we've done great work, we've not done so great work, but we've never gone up and said, "You brought this idea and it didn't do very well," right? We really feel great about people who bring us those ideas and who say, "We will do it for you," or we feel great about it. The only thing I feel, to the point that you guys are making, is that, I mean, I was just starting my career. A lot of my seniors in marketing, you know, at that point in time, CMOs and all, used to tell me that, you know, you've cracked it right if that creative guy of yours is thinking about your brief in the shower, right? Which means that so personally vested in what you've briefed them and excited, right? That in their most personal moment, they're thinking of how can I do something great? I think that kind of hunger and passion needs to be there or inculcated in an agency and partner relationship. It is more important today because like we said that the thumb is such a huge enemy. Everything that they're watching on phone is entertainment. It's not like in 80s where ads were entertainment. It's a very tough world we are living in. And if we do not have the power of ideas and creativity, whatever else we do, we will always fall short of getting that attention.
Absolutely true. I think those are all the key tenets of how we cultivate that culture of creativity, innovation, and push through, right? And that at EssenceMediacom as well, we believe in this philosophy of breakthrough, right? And breakthrough applied in every scenario, which is, are we driving breakthrough results? Are we driving breakthrough in media? Are we driving breakthrough in content? I mean, I can't take an idea to a client unless I filter it through the framework of breakthrough, which tells me, saying, will it give me a little more of that delta? Whether it is greater entertainment for the audience, ultimately leading to greater engagement, greater sales, so on and so forth. I think we all need a metric like that to keep pushing ourselves and keep pushing the boundaries. Now, we've talked a lot about agencies and brands. There is a third and very important variable in the mix, right, which is the partner or the media owner or the publisher. And we were talking about it earlier. Maybe we can spend a few minutes on that, right? We hear a lot of different things, from idea first to brand first to audience first to platform first. And I've heard from a lot of my friends on the publisher side, on the platform side, saying, idea to hum bhi la sakte hain, to hame kyun nahi dete chance, right? And we've seen maybe, a few of those occurrences where there have been sparks of brilliance. How do we think as creative agencies and as brands about the role of the partner? Where do they come in? When do they come in?
I think publishers, it's not like they are not working with brands. For big brands, I think publishers have tried. I think it's not about client first, publisher first, I think it's the best idea should win. And if publishers are going to the clients with the best ideas every time, I think client has no reason not to take them, right? But I think maybe that case is not happening. Also, publishers, if there are certain formats that they have to push, the idea will always have those formats and not look beyond those formats. When an agency comes, it comes with an idea and then it opens to publishers. The idea takes shape and form as per the publisher. In case of publishers, I feel, I could be wrong, that the idea comes later and the formats come before. And the pitching is always about, let's sell a 6-seconder. Let's sell the some other format of an idea. So I think that is where the game is. What I've seen is smaller brands are actually more interested to work with publishers because they think the agency will be out of the equation, at least the money equation, and they can work directly with and get the best rate. But it's not the best idea that always wins. So I think it should be more about, if you get the best idea, you should do it. Right?
Shailja, your thoughts about this as a brand advertiser?
See, I'll say sometimes in all this, we forget that it's consumer first, right? So obviously there's an idea which comes from what your brand stands for and how will the consumer be able to perceive it well, okay? I feel in a lot of this, I would say it's mostly idea first, okay? And that is my own very personal view of what I've learned over years. But the boundaries of platform and idea are also blurring, right? Because so you have an idea, but you should also in parallel know very strongly what are the mediums of taking this idea to the consumers, right? We call it total connection planning in PepsiCo, which is that, okay, you've got an idea, but I think the idea needs to be there. And then you figure where is it that the consumer or the targeted audience you want to reach is available, right? At that point in time now, that idea might take a very different creative leap or form because you've been very true to the potential of a platform, right? So if you, for example, take YouTube, or you take, for example, Snapchat, and you take, for example, Insta, or you take, for example, OTT platforms, right? All of them, first, the consumer is consuming the content very differently. Secondly, all of them have their own abilities to take your platform and either provide you reach or engagement, etc., in a very different way, right? So I would say you have to be very clear on both, but I think the idea has to be there first.
I, I, yeah, I think I already started. I think when my mom enjoys an ad, no, she doesn't care कि publisher पहले लाया था या agency पहले या client. I think she just enjoys the ad, and I think what she said is very important because it's consumer first. As long as they like it and it does what the brand wanted to do, I think we are good. I don't think the client can solely do it, the publisher can solely do it, or the agency can solely do it. I think like how he put it very well, that there are two parents to an idea. In these kind of ideas, there are three parents to the idea. There's also the publisher. अब ये संगम होके एक महाकुंभ बनेगा, which my mom will probably enjoy, is what we hope for. And I don't think any of the parties can do this alone. Like वैसा है थोड़ा.
I want to just add a point there. I think why this question comes to our minds and why this question is even being asked is because the platform dynamics have changed a lot, right? And especially with the coming of tech, right? A lot of brand marketeers or creative agencies don't really understand what tech can do for you, right? So in recent past, what you've seen is that there have been ideas that have come tech out. Because there was an ability of tech opening up something for you, that idea probably got created because of tech, right? Now, that's a great thing to happen. And I think it will happen for a period of time till people really start understanding that landscape fully. My only watch out there is that I see a lot of brands and people doing it for LinkedIn or for awards, right? That's a great thing. I mean, for awards, yes, because it also gives you a platform for creativity, and it's a great thing to do for agencies, etc. Keeps them on their toes, helps us see what is the potential that these agencies have, but that is a trap again, right? So we should all start understanding tech. We should start understanding how a idea can become even bigger, even wider, even more personalized because of tech, and do experiment. There's no harm in doing a few things which are award-worthy things that spark your creativity, but that again can become a trap over a period of time.
Just one small thing there, and like it's a very important point. I think in India we are still working from tech, and in bigger markets we are actually developing tech for the idea.
Yes.
Right? I think once we start getting used to this tech, there will be a point in Indian advertising when the desired result will lead to development of tech. Like I have a lot of friends abroad, especially in bigger markets like America and UK and even Japan. They will develop. We want to do this and make the consumer feel like this. Hence, they will put in a year of tech development, get that done. We are still working कि ये tech है, इसको consumer के लिए कैसे हैं. We are doing the other way around. I think the more we do what she's saying, we will reach this faster. More money will be pumped in, more development will happen. I think it's a great way to evolve the conversation also.
Absolutely. So I think some aspects remain true even today with all the complexity, clutter, technology that we deal with. That one, as a business, as a brand, you should be absolutely clear on what you want to do and why you want to do it. Agencies do need to keep pushing the envelope on creativity by further fostering, nurturing a culture which allows people to voice their opinions, challenge notions and conventions. And that's where great intersections happen between agencies and brands. And everywhere there is consumer first. We've always done marketing for consumers, targeted to consumers. Why should it be different now? Now that we have data and tech in the mix, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, The audience is the consumer. We do need to overcome the challenge of breaking through that threshold of entertainment, of fun, of engagement, of emotion, because of the overload that's happening. And I think all of these ingredients come together to help us do that. Those are really what the things that I take away from our conversation today. But if you have to take away one thing or give the audience that one thing from your lens, what would that be?
Just a couple of things, I feel. I think when we go to, Aalap, I met in some of the international festivals as well, advertising festivals. It's little sad to see the number of Indian brands there, just to be present, representative from the brands as well. And I think Indian advertising scene now needs to, really make a chap on the global map. And I think both the parties, from agencies and the brands, need to be bolder and take little, I think, risk. We often get trapped by this 30-second TVC, 60 seconds. Nothing wrong with that. I don't think we need to pick sides. But what we need to experiment more with newer formats. The brands need to adopt that. And there are some of the brands who are doing. I think it just needs to be more concentrated and voluminous effort. Like Aalap's last year's campaign, or I think last year's campaign, 2024's campaign of Locator. Right? It was not a regular film. It was allowing you to see what are the women lavatories around, washrooms around. So I think it's a great idea. It got celebrated at the best festival possible. And great, PR for the brand love for the brand. I think ideas like those. We created an image repository for women farmers. The 70% of farming labor is women. But when you Google farmers, you only see men. We created a repository for Wellspun, who's into cotton farming. I think, and I'm not saying these ideas, there are ideas happening in multiple agencies. It's just more concentrated effort to bring India's advertising scene on the front needs to be there. And I think collectively we all need to come really together on this one.
Anybody can go.
For me, I would say two things. One is consumer. Just remember that. And the second is foster the culture of experimenting, taking risks, and learning from it.
See, I think we spoke about a lot of things, and the one thing that happens in a room, and we are all marketers and advertisers and publishers. I think one thing that happens in a room is that ek chote se idea se, we want them to, that one idea to do everything under the sun, okay? And we keep talking about this together also, that an idea or a campaign is like a car, okay? Two people can't drive the car, then it will fall into a ditch. Only one person can drive a car. एक चीज को करते हैं, उसको let's do that properly is something that I would honestly tell everyone to do. That let one person drive the car. Everyone can help navigate. Some people can like play the music. Some people can play the AC, keep the windows down. But one person drives the car. Okay, I think in the pursuit of doing everything कि ये एक कैंपेन है, इससे हम लोग है ना परफॉर्मेंस का भी कुछ कर देंगे, इससे हम लोग सेल्स भी बढ़ा देंगे, इससे हम लोग ब्रांड लव भी कर देंगे, और ये वायरल भी हो जाना चाहिए, और एक कैन भी मिल जाएगा. ये सब होता नहीं है. Like you will fail in 4 of these, you will eventually do only one. So why start with a diluted objective? Just start with one, do that properly. The others will come as fringe, or maybe the next campaign maybe. Right? सबका सब एक साथ नहीं होगा. So
can I just add one thing? It comes to my mind is that somebody in our company and a very celebrated marketer once said that if you've got a great idea, treat it like a caterpillar, because there'll be a lot of people sitting there to kill the idea, right? And you are the only person responsible, if you believe in it, to let it become the butterfly, because when it becomes the butterfly, everybody will talk about its beauty. And I think that's the reality, that and especially in a lot of organized, big organizations, the way we work is that, there'll be an idea and then there'll be a lot of people who'll be asking why, how, what, risks, etc. But as a brand custodian or as an agency partner who's brought the idea, it's your responsibility to keep that idea intact and nurture it, and don't let it get killed by anybody.
The DNA intact is very important. It can't start off like a human and end up as a Dalmatian. That is what happens. इतने changes हो जाते हैं ना. Bichara human has mutated into a dog.
This is our doing only, right? Because when we went
Yeah.
and said consumer journeys are not linear anymore, that's when we
Yeah.
implied saying one
Yeah.
ad can do everything from brand love to sales. हम नहीं किया है ये.
इस जितना भी हम लोग डिस्कस करें सब हमारा ही करा हुआ.
Okay, I was hoping to maybe take one or two questions from the audience, but we've got only 30 seconds left. We can take one question? Okay. Okay.
Hi, I'm Varun. I run a creative agency. Thanks to all the exchanges between different brands and agency and media. My question is for Shailja. What I would like to know from you is that I totally agree with you that there are certain aspects that you look at it from marketing, which is viral and so-called share-worthy and everything, which is usually very sensation-based, which is very fleeting and 2-seconders and 30-seconders. And then there is a long format and things which have more stickiness to it. As a brand PepsiCo, how do you decide, on what factors do you decide how much weightage to give which section? Thank you.
You're saying the duration or?
So basically, how much of your content do you focus on being made as a short format or something which is more trendy? And how much do you create as long format or which has more brand effectiveness? So what are the factors that you take into consideration as to which balance to hit?
Frankly, I don't think there is a magic recipe to this that we figured. However, because a lot of our brands are very huge mass brands and hence for us reach is very important. A lot of times, most of the work that you will see which is dedicated to building the brand, driving business, etc., will go by what works in the platforms, which is usually shorter format only, right? Which is 30, 20, 10 seconders, 6 seconders. So depending on what amount of reach will you be able to get in that platform, which is your reach driving platform, our strategy will be decided that way. But when we do things like, for example, we recently did something on Holi, okay, which was Holi, and we associated it with AI. We were open to doing a long format content because we knew that, you know, if it is an engaging content and we can put it in the right places, then we can drive the amount of engagement we want with that audience. Then I don't want to chase the kind of reach that I would want in other places. And maybe if the content is really great, it can travel, it can become viral, it can go that way. So I think we experiment with both. But to sum up, most of the business related high reach things are decided by the short formats or what works as seconders in medium. But when you decide on something which is moment, culture, content, etc., we do experiment with long formats.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being a patient audience, and hopefully we were able to add something to your knowledge that you can take away from here. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much.